Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine. And although it's been far too long, we have back with us Dr. Robert Hoffman. Robert, welcome back to the show.
Nice to be here, Joe, as always.
Well, it's been a few weeks since we've actually seen each other.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I've even missed the call, and one week was because I was just out of it. This last week, our internet was down all day long. I don't know what happened.
All right, that's all right. Here we are.
Exactly. Well, that's the good news about working with good people is, we're always there for each other, and we do what we can every time. So
That's right. That's for sure.
I definitely want to catch up with you and the work you've been doing. I wanted to share with you kind of a little update on my situation, and
Okay.
it's actually very positive. Working with Dr. Song has been a godsend. Once again, this is a doctor who I literally told the last time I saw him, doctor, I've never said this before to a doctor, but I trust you. And, I've had a lot of doctors in my life. My dad was a doctor. I never said that to him. I loved him, but, as a doctor, he did things that I didn't necessarily want done. And I never knew really what was going on. Something about this guy. He spends time every time they do an infusion. He's the one who puts that in my port. He actually told me, he says, Joe, they did a good job with your port. They installed it well. What doctor's going to take the time to notice that and share that, right?
Right.
I mean, he really he pays attention to every little thing. He reminded me when we were talking about every time I come to him with a thought or an idea, I asked him not the last time, the time before that I saw him, I says, well, what do you think about sauna? Because I have a sweat lodge at my place and we do that. And I do steam sauna. And I know that cancer doesn't like heat and it likes a cold environment, an anaerobic environment. So, I've been doing that. But he said, Joe, my wife loves the sauna. She loves the steam sauna. But one time she burnt her lungs, sometimes we steam junkies, we go a little too far, you think you're invincible, you crank that thing up, you take a deep breath and ooh, ow, you can get some hot steam in there. And he says, and she got an infection that turned into pneumonia. It turned into be a problem for her. He says, that generally doesn't happen, but it could. And he says, I told her there's an old Korean technique that can avoid all of that. And it's kind of like an infrared system. He goes, you just take two 5-gallon buckets, and you put your feet in them. And then you take hot water, hot as you can stand, and you pour it over your feet. And you just keep that water, keep adding to it until that, eventually the bucket fills up. But you keep it as hot as you can stand. And he says, what happens is your core will heat up. Your feet transmit heat pretty quickly. And, before you know it, you'll be sweating. And he says, and you don't have to expose your body to the outside temperature the way that the steam sauna does. And you don't have to worry about breathing in all that steam. And in fact, you don't even have to go inside a closed room, a box. You can sit outside and talk to your wife or watch TV or work on your computer, whatever you want to do. And I says, wow, what a thoughtful gesture, right? I mean, for this guy.
Right. That's Dr. Song.
I have an alternative that's yeah, I agree. He goes to me, he goes, how did you know that? The heat. I go, me, I'm always researching. I go, I'm always trying to find ways to make me stronger and the cancer weaker. And he likes that about me. He says, he didn't say it, but I know when I ask him certain questions, he's like, wow, you're actually thinking about this. And I think that's why he engages me that way. But then I watch him. I sit in the infusion room, right? And it's a small room, maybe about, I don't know, 8 by 12 or something like that. It's a pretty small room. 3 chairs in it. Old fashioned. UCI, they got these really fancy IV rigs, and they've got all these different monitors and sensors, and you hook up 4 bags at the same time, and they hook into these things. He's got this old metal rack. It's literally just a hook, a metal hook with an adjustable up and down on it and wheels on the
That's
bottom.
all you need.
I know, exactly. And he hooks that bag up there, and it has a little sort of a metering device. It's just a simple little, like a pinch thing, and you lift it up or down and let the thing drip more or less. But I watch him, and he puts the needle in everybody's port, or if they have another way that they do it. And his partner does too. He's got this partner from I don't know, from Europe somewhere. I don't know where. He might be Germany, but he has an accent, pretty strong accent. But this doctor does the same thing. I've never seen a nurse or a physician's assistant ever put in or take out a needle. It's always the actual doctor. And I thought, man, that's really special. That's unique. Like at UCI, I think UCI is doing a good job. I don't think anything ill of them, but I've never seen a doctor when I'm getting an infusion. It's always a nurse or nurse practitioner or some sort of not a doctor. And so it's a different experience. And so this last time, I got the infusion. He gives me the docetaxel, half of it. Oh, no, he gives me all the docetaxel, half of the cisplatin, and then he sends me home with the pump with the 5-fluorouracil. And then Friday I come back, and he takes the pump out, and he gives me the cisplatin, and he tells me about, really what he's doing. He asks me a lot of questions. He takes blood every time I see him. He does a blood test, little finger test, and they check out, I don't know what all they're looking, but I see it. I don't know what everything stands for yet, but he knows prior to me doing that infusion that my body's ready for it. And if there's an issue, sometimes they'll say, well, your protein's a little low. And I go, I know my diet doesn't allow me a lot of protein, but I'm doing pretty good. And he's like, yeah, you're okay. Just keep your eye on it. And then he might, well, generally after the infusion, and then the following week I go in for the immunotherapy. So he gives me a few days off, and then I go into the immunotherapy, and he does blood then too. And he'll say, well, your white blood cell count's down. I says, well, you just gave me a whole bunch of chemo. What do you think it's going to do? And he smiles. He goes, I know. He says, but we're going to watch you. And sometimes he'll have me call in. Last time he had me come in. And he was asking me a lot of questions about my diet because he knows about my diet. And so this time I came in. He said, well, I want you to come in Friday. So I came in Wednesday to get the Keytruda, the immunotherapy. And then I came down Friday just to talk about the blood result because, they always take blood. I drove down there just to have a 2-minute conversation with him. It was worth it. And this guy sits with me, and he asks me about my diet. And he's saying, well, do you eat this? Do you eat that? Do you eat this? Do you eat that? And I went through and some of the foods they said yes to, some I said no to. And I explained why. And he understood. And he had this little chart up on the wall. And it says like, green vegetables, onions, beans. It's just, it's a good diet plan strategy. And I said, I basically follow that. I just am very careful with the protein. I don't, I'm very careful with my nuts. I'm very careful with the legumes. And, there's just certain foods that I avoid. And he understood, he didn't fight me on it. He's still not sure. I could tell he kind of goes, he says it's not hurting you. So he's not telling me not to do it. He just still doesn't necessarily agree with, I don't think he understands truly the nature of what the cancer's relationship with methionine is. Even
he doesn't understand. And
that's
the other
okay.
day he asked you if you're on glutamine restriction or something.
Exactly. So because of that, I recognize that he knows very well the things he knows. And he knows a lot more than any other doctor I've ever talked to about the things I'm dealing with. And this is a thing that I'm not going to force down his throat, but I can tell.
No, you don't need to. And
Oh,
you every, we go with his strength, and he's got maybe he's one of the leaders, if not the leader in the world. And he doesn't have to know anything about methionine. We know about methionine.
exactly. And so that's kind of a beauty that I really wanted to share with you because I see him recognizing the value of what I'm doing without necessarily understanding it. And he's not telling me not to do it.
No,
He's just saying, you go do your thing. You're doing well. And so this last Friday when I went out there, I drove, almost 2 hours to go and see him for 5 minutes, waited in his office for an hour and a half before he could see me. And it was okay. I smiled. I go,
yeah, that 5 minutes is a treasure.
oh, when I went in there, he ended up spending 15 minutes with me. And he goes over every little detail. And I said, so how am I doing, Doc? I mean, what do you think? He says, you're handling the medication, the chemo remarkably well. And he says, I know these drugs. He goes, he reminded me that, again, he was on the team that discovered cisplatin. And he says, this is not an easy treatment. And he said, but you're doing well. And he said, you're recovering well. Your white blood cells have recovered. And he hasn't had to give me that, I forget the drug, but UCI was always giving me after the 5-fluorouracil. So they gave me this drug to cause my bone marrow to produce white blood cells better.
Yeah, it's probably one of these so-called colony stimulating factors, something like that.
Yeah, I believe so. So he said, well, if you give it to you without you needing it, it can kind of overstimulate your system and maybe have some negative side effects. And you don't need it. Why take it, right? So that's his thinking. I'm like, wow,
Great thinking.
yeah. I mean,
His mind is very clear.
oh my God, this guy's sharp as a tack. And again, his eyes aren't real good. I see him, he's got a magnifying glass. He holds his glasses up to it when he needs to, but boom, 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 boom. Every little thing, every little detail, he's on point. And he's got a great staff. You can tell his nurses love him. His patients love him. Everybody, it's just a beautiful environment down there. And had you not remembered that you knew him 40 years ago and reached out to him, I know if I had cold called him and I just discovered him on my own, he wouldn't have seen me because
No,
he's not taking new patients. But he remembered you, and you told him the story.
maybe he remembered me. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter, but you told him a story in such a way that he recognized the value, and he did take me. And I'm really, still kind of really taken by that. That's really like it's part of this series of miracles that have gotten me to the, where I'm at now. But what he said was, you're on a good road. He's ordered an MRI now. I'm getting ready to take my final round of this infusion, and he said in his mind that this Keytruda is going to be our maintenance. He says, I think that if we do this right and it's working, that can be your long-term maintenance. So he's already thinking,
Wow, that would be great.
I know. And I'm already doing well with that. Like I don't seem to have any negative side effects from that. I've had 2 rounds of it so far, and it doesn't seem to, like, right after I take it, I haven't noticed anything really negative. So hopefully, he's checking my kidneys, he's checking my, all different, he's monitoring a lot of stuff. I see these blood results come back, and I don't know what they all stand for because, there's little abbreviations for things, and I haven't studied them all. But the ones I do know, the nutrients and the immunosystem markers and that kind of stuff I do recognize. And I'm within I'm within the bounds with, not a flag on just about everything. Anything I've been over or under, it's been just by a hair. So I've not really gone over any major line with with this protocol. And the fact that he told me that, he's expecting when I get these scans that we're going to be complete. I'm kind of excited about that. Now the downside is, and I'm becoming very aware that this chemo has sort of an accumulative effect, because I know that each round that I've gotten has, in this second version, has hit me a little harder. And by that I mean, the nausea has been fairly consistent and been difficult to keep my weight, getting my weight back. So like this time around, I don't think I'm going to do a full fast. I'm going to do fasting mimicking, and I'll be okay with that. I didn't gain all my weight back this time, even though I've been trying. And I know I'll still get the results that I need from a fasting mimicking program, because that's, Dr. Exame and some of the others have validated that, and I feel confident. I'm still not giving it any methionine to work with, so we're on point with that. And it's just been, hard. I get kind of dizzy and I kind of stay that way. And, getting that, I sleep a lot, and I just, if I feel tired, I just sleep. I said, that's what my body needs right now. I'm not worried about it.
Only one more to go, Joe.
Exactly. So I'm kind of
One more.
looking at it like Muhammad Ali.
When you poke yourself, what do you feel?
I can definitely feel this thing. The little bit of hardness that is left is getting smaller. And I can feel both sides of my neck feeling a lot more the same now. So we're definitely making progress in the last of it. And you remember how big that thing was.
Oh boy, the grapefruit.
I know exactly. And I know for a fact that some of this mass is just necrotic tissue. It's just dead tissue that
It seems that way, and we
has to
will
go away.
prove that with methionine PET in Japan.
Exactly. So I'm kind of getting excited that, he's gonna declare full remission and that there's no cancer left. Now we still know that it's likely there's stem cells and circulating tumor cells that will have to be dealt with on a regular basis. But you know what? Everybody has those. And it's not
Or
that,
you're going to stay on methionine restriction, and
yeah,
you'll go on Keytruda maintenance.
exactly.
Um, Sounds good, and we'll monitor.
Hi, this is Joe Grumbine, and I wanted to share an update. The platform that hosts this podcast has made some changes to the subscriber settings, and we have a number of subscriber-only episodes that we offer to the supporters, and for a minimum of $3 a month, we can get you signed up. And if you're already signed up and you're having some kind of trouble locating these episodes in the other platforms, I would say maybe the best answer is to unsubscribe and then resubscribe. I'm sorry for the hassle. I don't have any way to make a change, but I'm very grateful for all the support. Thank you.
Exactly. And the way I see it, when I go to Japan and I get the all clear, we'll set a plan that says, well, every whatever year, 18 months, 2 years, whatever we determine that sort of magic number is, we'll go back and do it again. Hopefully, my hope really is that the technology finds its way over here and stays here. We know we have it. They do brain scans with it, right? But they
They
don't.
do. There's a few clinics that do brain scans.
But they don't do the full body scan, and
Not that I know of.
it's hard to come by.
Never seen it.
Exactly. So, and hell, I've never been to Japan, and I've heard nothing but amazing about it.
Well, you're going to love it. Scott had the time of his life.
I heard that. So, the last time I saw you, you had just done this interview with a Russian Uh,
Russian TV.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I did end up seeing that. Now I went to see it live, and I don't know, maybe they must have played it like later on, but I watched it from 9 till probably 9:30, and it was.
Did you get the video
I
recording?
did, yeah. I finally saw the video recording of it, so I was able to see.
And did you get the translated
I
text?
did. Yep, yep. I got both of that, so I was able to. Thanks to Shihiro and you guys and Cynthia, I think she was the one who put that together. I don't know who did it, but
No, Chihiro put it together.
okay. Well,
And,
you
and,
guys.
and it was Dr. Exame who got the translation through his AI.
I love it. I love it. Well, that just shows the beauty of this team. You know, when I see the group that meets on Sundays, I look at it as a team. You know, you got all these people.
It's a team. And
It,
Joe, I'll tell you, and for the folks listening, I really appreciated what the Russian TV did. So the whole theme was based on an interview of Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson.
got it.
And Mel Gibson goes on and says, I have 3 friends, and they were stage 4 cancer, and all they took was ivermectin, fenbendazole, and methylene blue, and they're all cancer free.
Right.
Of course, that's a real hard one to believe.
Right.
So at the first, I don't know what exactly came through on the interview, but the first thing they asked me is, what do you think about that?
Mm-hmm.
I said, it has no meaning for me because I only take information from peer-reviewed papers in recognized journals.
Right.
That's what I said. And then they said, are you worried that patients will refuse standard therapy and do what Mel Gibson said to do? And I said, well, my patients don't refuse standard therapy.
Right.
That's what I said. Those were basically the main points. Is, you know, people get on and they're so glib and they talk. Oh, and then,
yeah.
you know, it was all about a conspiracy. The pharmaceutical companies don't want you to know about ivermectin. You know, in my experience, Joe, my own experience, the pharmaceutical companies don't even have any idea whether you know ivermectin or don't know ivermectin. Completely out of their radar. They don't give a darn what about that. They're out to sell their drugs.
Exactly. That's why they buy commercials. That's why
they're out to make money. No,
yes. Yes.
Hey, what a revelation. A commercial company wants to make money. So
exactly.
You know, all this conspiracy theories, I don't buy it. The pharmaceutical company, that people say to me, why aren't the pharmaceutical companies interested in methionase? I said, they don't see it to make any money. They don't see making money from it. It's not cool like immunotherapy and Keytruda and fashionable. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's nothing to do with conspiracy. It's just human nature. These companies want to make a buck. Okay. But and you know, we, little old us, we say what they make is necessary, but for a lot of the time, a lot of the patients, it's not sufficient. We need more. We need to add on to it.
Absolutely.
That's what we want to do. So, you know, like Dr. Exame says, standard therapy gives you standard outcome. Okay, standard outcome is a heck of a lot better than nothing, but we want to improve it.
Right. Yeah, 3 to 5 years is great if that's all you think you have to live, but the answer is about solving the problem.
Think many patients we can do better. We think so.
Exactly.
We haven't proved it, but
plenty of
a lot of patients doing well, like you.
Right. You got Dr. Exame, you got Gene, you got Shihiro, you've got Cynthia, you got all these people that are yes.
And a whole ton of patients in Japan.
20 years from now, I'll be saying
disappearing.
Yes. And that's huge. And I think there's another layer to this, Doc. And it has to do with quality of life. And the standard of care only solution generally includes one or more very invasive, very disruptive, potentially devastating answers, meaning extended radiation. I'm not saying all radiation's bad. There's some people that have done very well with
Joe,
radiation.
if we need it, we're going to have it's there for us.
Exactly. But
And there's times when we have no choice. We need it. But in your
exactly.
case, we had a choice. It
Right.
was clear. We had a choice.
And that's,
At some point, we think there's no choice. We're going to use it.
oh, you bet. I mean, my goal is to stay alive and give myself the very best quality of life that I can
And
muster.
that's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, in talking to various different doctors, and I've been blessed. I've had a lot of great guests on the show in the last several months, and some physicians. I talked to a plastic surgeon last week, um, from Beverly Hills. He's probably real close to Dr. Castro, where he operates from. But this guy was actually a good guy. You think plastic surgeon, you're like, you're just, whatever. You're taking care of the movie stars. But the truth is, a lot of plastic surgery is reconstructive. A lot of it has way more to do with healing and health than just, a vanity work. And
It's not all cosmetic at all.
no, no. And but the point is this guy's approach was, let's do the least harmful thing to get the most results. And I said, wow, I wish more oncologists would think that way. And it doesn't seem that the standard of care has that approach. It has.
Joe, it's how you use the standard of care.
Correct.
Standard of care has surgery, it has chemotherapy, and we'll consider the immunotherapy as part of chemotherapy,
I believe
and
so,
it
yeah.
has radiology.
Right.
Okay, how are we going to use it?
Right.
If we're going to do what they told you to do at UCI, take the chemo and get irradiated at the same time,
And then get a surgery.
that didn't seem very smart to me. I don't know if you remember Mark from Mark Lichty came over. He came and visited us, and he said he's going to get chemo and or androgen ADT, androgen deprivation therapy, and radiation. I said, hey Mark, why you need the radiation right now? ADT is really powerful. Let's
Right.
start with that. Let's see
Yeah.
how you do. We can always come back for the radiation if
Right.
the ADT is not sufficient. And he really listened. I think he may
Yeah.
go that way.
That's fantastic. And I think that's one of the real powers of the group, because a lot of times we get a new person that comes in and they just came back from their first trip to the oncologist. They just got diagnosed, and the first recommendation that they receive is, well, we're going to do this. And, you know, to anybody who's ever been diagnosed or has a loved one who's been diagnosed, it's like a 2x4 across your skull. You just are all of a sudden going, whoa, I'm a healthy person. Now they're telling me I have cancer. And it's hard to swallow, no matter who you are, no matter what happens, no matter what, even if it's a seemingly minor thing, it's still like, wow, that's for reals now. And I think whatever the doctor tells you after that, you're kind of in a fog. Like, you're like, whoa, and I don't think you're ever gonna, no matter who you are, I don't think you're ever gonna process that well. Whoops, I think we lost you for a second. Hello? Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right, no worries. Let me put you on speaker then. All right. All right. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you really good.
All right, perfect. We're gonna do a hybrid solution here.
Okay.
One of these days we're going to have to get you a new phone. I know that phone. You put that thing. Yeah, you put that thing to a lot of work. I've seen that thing overheat a few times. But anyways, we get these people that come on to the Sunday afternoon call, and they've just been hit with this diagnosis, and it's like a ton of bricks. And even if you're a loved one, to hear that your loved one has been diagnosed with cancer, and we all know that even if they say, oh, well, it's very treatable, any cancer can turn into a death sentence.
Sure.
And then they tell you, well, this is what we're going to do. And you know what? You really can't process it. It's just like it's like you got sucker punched and you're just sitting there kind of like the little cartoon birdies flying around your head. And you just go, okay, and a lot of people, what I'm finding out, especially in this group that I'm in on Facebook with the squamous cell carcinoma people, is that a lot of people get diagnosed and then they have to wait weeks or even months to get that first appointment. And, if you're dealing with an aggressive cancer like head and neck squamous cell carcinoma, weeks and months can make a difference when
You sure can.
it's spreading or developing a blood system or all the different things that happen. You can't give it any extra time. And
No.
it kind of blows me away that, you can go from a biopsy diagnosis and then have to wait weeks or a month to see an oncologist. But that's just our system, I guess, right now, the way it is.
Well, you have to be very proactive and not tolerate that.
Exactly.
And, you're not going to see me, then I'm going to go see somebody else. I mean,
exactly.
If you have a cancer, you just can't be passive about it. Although part of the patients are.
Many people are. Well, I think that's a big part of what this group is. The importance of this group is, we share that urgency and
take charge of yourself.
Exactly. And when they see somebody do it, it's generally a lot easier to do it yourself, like when you're out there in the field all by yourself and you don't know anything and you're just like, well, I don't know what to do, but I know I need to do something, and you try whatever. But when you got somebody standing next to you going, all right, well, here's some things I did, and at least it gives you some kind of a map or a guidebook that says, well, okay.
Sure.
And I believe that this group has probably helped more than a handful of people.
Oh, for sure.
Get on the course of
a lot of people.
Just
a lot of people.
Not even just getting better, but actually probably save some lives is what my guess is.
I think so.
And I think that you got to be awful proud of that and know that you're the heart of this thing. There wouldn't be a Sunday afternoon group if there wasn't a Dr. Hoffman. So
well, we're all in it together, Joe. We're all contributing.
We are, absolutely. So I always like to get to a little piece of this. It's not little because it's not important. It's little because there's always tidbits that come out and that I learned from, and I know that others, the listeners, do as well. You talk so much about the published, peer-reviewed sources of information, as that's where you work from. That's where you get your information from. But it's more than that. You contribute to these things. You have published more papers than anybody I know by a long shot, but by even most most physicians, most researchers. You just have an extensive range of papers that you've published, and I know just recently there was a paper that came out. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so this is a patient in Japan, and she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I don't know what happened, but she got literally whole body metastasis.
Yikes.
And so she went to see our Dr. Sato in Japan, in the couple hours away from Tokyo, and he started her on a type of immunotherapy, his special kind of X-ray, which is not really the radiation treatment we think about. And she started on methionine and a low methionine diet. And in, I don't know, 5 months or so, relatively short time, she cleared all metastasis except in her liver. And that's what we published. Dr. Sato told me very recently she's now just on methionine restriction and maybe a little bit glucose restriction, and the liver metastasis is regressing.
Nice.
So that's the story in that paper. The paper only goes to the point of metastasis clearing except the liver, and maybe we'll publish a follow-up paper after her liver cleared.
But that is so.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that is just so remarkable.
It's remarkable. I mean, you look at the image. It's a regular PET scan.
Right.
She's just full of metastasis.
Yeah.
And she clears. And she is the Japanese have a special kind of comic book, much more sophisticated than our comic books.
Okay.
Called manga.
Uh-huh.
And she is a manga. She does kind of medical manga, medical comic books.
Okay.
And she draws.
Wow.
Comic book.
All right.
And she's going to do a manga story based on her own cancer therapy.
Wow.
She's going to do it.
I love it. Love it. Now, I don't know the statistics, but it's what I understand and the information I've received is that most people, when metastasis has gone to that place where it's spread, generally it's a death sentence. Like there's not.
Well, her hospital told her to go to hospice.
Right. And
instead she went to Dr. Sato.
I love it. I love it. Because if you think about it, there's no surgery that can operate because it's spread out throughout your body. There's no radiation that you can't treat because radiation's a localized treatment. And chemotherapy generally by itself isn't strong enough to knock out something that's spread in all these different systems because there's different kinds of chemo for different kinds of systems. And it doesn't seem like, I mean, I think most people, when you say metastasize throughout your body, that to me says, well, you're done. You know, there isn't.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah.
What we've learned from her, it's not necessarily so. It may be in some cases.
Sure.
But it's not necessarily so. And so somehow she was smart enough and lucky enough to contact Dr. Sato.
Yeah.
And she's going to live.
Sounds like Dr. Sato's kind of like our Dr. Song out here.
He's a kind of Dr. Song.
I love it. I love it.
A kind of modern Dr. Song.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's got all the new tools and all the things. So,
but Dr. Song is working magic with the chemo tools.
Oh, you bet he is. You bet he is.
Maestro.
Yeah, no, there's just no doubt at all. And I believe this other doctor that he's working with is probably kind of
What's the name of this other doctor?
I don't know him offhand. I'll take a picture of
yeah, sure,
the thing and I'll get it. That's one thing that this has hit me so hard is my memory. Just remembering little things has been.
It's called chemo brain, Joe.
I tell you.
Clear up.
You know, it's so funny, Robert. I've had people in my life tell me about this, and I always kind of poo-pooed it. I always like, yeah, whatever. You know, it's like in my mind, it's like depression. I never had it, so I never understood it. I never had empathy, and whoo, boy, I got an empathy bucket now.
It clears up. Chihiro had it. Almost everybody has it.
Yeah.
It clears up.
No, I expect that. I'm looking forward to, again, that's where I say this chemo solution to me has been a godsend, because as far as I understand, and the doctor's monitoring my kidneys very well, it's unless I was to not hydrate myself enough, it could do damage to the kidneys and possibly.
His platinum attacks the kidney, and
Right.
that's why Dr. Song is being so careful.
Yeah. And he gives me hydration with every infusion, and I'm always drinking. I'm always drinking water, coconut water, smoothies. I'm a drinking fool. Tea. I'm always,
Good.
I'm constantly. I monitor my urine color. I mean, if it gets a little darker than a little.
Nice and clear.
I'm on it. So yeah, I feel very strong and confident that my kidneys are going to come out just fine. And when I'm done with this thing, I'm going to completely recover. Because remember, I went almost 8 weeks between cycles, and I was recovering remarkably well. My hair was starting to grow back, and my head was getting clear. The taste was leaving my mouth. I was putting weight on pretty strong. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that. And I don't think
You sure will.
the Keytruda has that kind of a side effect. So
No, Keytruda's different.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I know that you submitted that case study on my case, and
It's right on schedule now.
beautiful.
My guess is it'll come out about the beginning of November.
I love it. I can't wait to share that with Dr. Song.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, you see what I'm saying? Exactly. He'll look at it a little differently after that. I'm very confident. So
I am too.
So, anyways, well, Robert, it's a treat. I feel like it'd been way too long since we talked, and I'm glad that we're catching up. And
Me too.
I look forward to Monday. I get my infusion, but we'll see how I'm doing. I started really early this time, so it's possible we'll be able to drop by and see you this time.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, thank you once again for joining us. This has been
It's been my pleasure, Joe, always to be on your program.
I love it. I believe we're helping people. I get people tell
All you
me
need to do is listen.
exactly. This has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine, and we will see you next time. This has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. We produce this show so that people can share their stories, people that have overcome obstacles, people that are undergoing obstacles. We're building a community of health-minded individuals. If you're interested in supporting the show, please leave a review on the platform you're listening to it on. If you're interested in becoming a guest, please send an email to itsjoegrumbine@gmail.com, or you can send a note into the notes section of the podcast. All right. Well, thank you for supporting this show, and we hope you've enjoyed it.